I have not touched this in like a year at this point, probably, because it's a lot of work and I procrastinate a lot, a lot. I procrastinate on sleeping, you know? So you can kind of understand that it's like it's hard to continue to do something where it's like every time I get into a fight, I put it into the spreadsheet and then I mark what the Digimon is in the spreadsheet, you know? And then I also mark what the combination is because unlike Pokemon, Digimon Data Squad, you encounter random Digimon isn't just one Digimon, it's like groups of them. But can be it can sometimes be just one Digimon, like there's one Impmon, or it can also be two. Or it could be uh like this one where it's one Palmon, a Woodmon, and a Yanmamon. I'm also apologizing if I butcher any names. Not the biggest on Digimon. I've seen the original Digimon show, at least up to a certain point, and I think that was one of the things that I watched when I was just watching anything and everything on YouTube on my 3DS instead of going to bed on school nights. Um, and in terms of Digimon games, I played Digimon World 4 Data, and then I played Digimon World Data Squad. Those are the only two Digimon games I've ever played. But then, so yeah, so I've also marked down that, how often that happens, right? And then I have this just to show that this does add up to 100%, make sure that I have it correct. Because if it doesn't add up to 100%, I mess something up. I literally started relearning how to do some things on Google Sheets just so I could have like the equations and stuff just auto complete themselves, add themselves up, be able to like just copy paste it over here. So that way I can just quickly as possible get this information down. And then I would do this, as you see here, 100 times. 100 times or more. Like 50 times, like 150 times, maybe more than that, whatnot. Maybe I've done it a total of 200 times or 250 times or 300 times even for the forest. However, this is why I need help with this. If you've noticed on the bottom where I was sorting through these, there's a Walter Island 1, which is the first location in the game, by the way. The tutorial happens here. And Walter Island 2. If you've also noticed, there's some things that weren't here before. There's a few different fights and even some Digimon just all together that weren't there. Because when you come back later, new Digimon spawn. Same goes for the forest. Which means now I have an issue of if it didn't change, like if it was consistent the whole way through the game, like you come back later, it's the same Digimon that spawn every time, there would not be a problem. I could easily just brute force it, do like 300 tests for each world. There's a lot of worlds. It's a long game. It's an RPG. Uh, like brute force it, just figure out all the information, right? Like, or at least give you my statistics on the rough spawn rates of how often they show up. Like, how often does a Gabumon show up in the forest? Like, from this test, this 50, a Gabumon showed up about 20% of the time because he's in or because they're in multiple different groupings. Like sometimes they show up with Garurumon or Patamon or Gabumon, you know? And that was just a test of 50. And that was just for the revisit of the forest. Like if you came back later. If you came there, or like if you're on your first visit through the forest, for like the first 100 tests, saw Gabumon about 16.74% of the time. Or if we're going for the same sample size, only 17 through 39% of the time, which is less, actually, than when coming back to the forest. Despite the fact that the new additions to what you can find actually don't include Gabumon. So it means, it's going to vary just because of luck, and it's going to vary from visit to visit. Like, it also helps that I didn't find some of the combinations at all on the revisit, apparently. I don't know why this is marked as nothing, but whatever. But then, other things that I was trying to do was just gather general information, because the game does not give you hardly any good information on itself. Like, there's a character you can talk to, like, before you select a world to go to. Uh, like back at the HQ, where you can buy some items and then pick which map you want to go to start running around. Um, there's a character you can talk to, and they'll tell you about stuff, such as the Digimon typing. Like, how, like, the abbreviations for them and what the abbreviations actually mean, and then which ones they're good against. And then I gave an example, I think, I don't remember if they also give an example, but at the very least, I gave an example on this spreadsheet. And then how it works is you either do 2 times damage or you take half damage. It's like attacking the same type will do half damage. Then if you're an effective one, you just do double. Like, fair enough. They give you this information. They tell you all of this. That's good. There is an emotion mechanic in this video game. There is an emotion gimmick. Um, this is the part that I've tried to look up, and it is just people on Reddit giving their experience with it, basically. And I've tried things like that, and it still is not intuitive. And for the record, I put in the information that the game tells you. Like, you see how it says in parentheses, don't lose control? That's what the game tells you. Like, this box attacks forcefully. Don't let them lose control. That's all they tell you. That that is all the game tells you. How is that helpful? Like, this is not helpful. And on top of that, the stat names differ from the actual emotion names. So not only do they, like, not only are you being told not helpful information, it also, you still have to figure out which emotion or feeling, relates to which stat. Like, tense and slowly revolves around tension, urge slash strong will, because it is referred to in both cases, by the way, in game. Like, I'm pretty sure the person that tells you the information and stuff, I think refers to it as courage, I think. But then things that change stuff, like this one, cheer up, I think refer to it as strong will. Um, I don't remember what actual isn't means. Oh, right. No, sorry. Right, sorry. Um, is in parentheses game and parentheses is what they tell you. So, like for tension, they tell you they'll be alert or they'll be relaxed and lazy if they don't have tension. How it actually shows up in a fight is that they're tense or that they're slowly. Those are what would show up above their health bar in an actual fight. Does not show alert or relaxed slash lazy. And then the actual is, if I'm understanding my own, if I'm understanding my own like, spreadsheet here, is just what the effect is, and actual isn't is what the effect of the opposite is. So, like, if they aren't strong willed, you get a bunch of escapes. If they are strong willed, you get more attacks and nothing else. Like, again, for people who don't know about this game, there is, um, do this. There is this. This is how it works. So you have actions, guard, support, and escape. Escape is just your flee button, right? It's just your run button. Action is your attacks. There are multiple attacks. Like if you look here, there's Mega Shot, Flame Breath, both. Um, and then the guard is usually like your stat buffs and stuff, or your healing from your Digimon specifically doing this. So like attack up or attack power up, or Balamon plant one here on the left would have like heal, so they can heal someone, including themselves if they want to. One on the right would have speed up, like related move. Support, for the record, would be the trainer or whatnot, like the actual human people. So it would be your using your items. It'll be using stuff like cheer up, like those just say like a little line, to, like cheer them up or make them more tense or something. Like that's how you affect their emotion. Like that's how you change that. There are some attacks and stuff that will like reverse that'll affect the emotion stats. Um, Also for the record, I mean you can't see the health bars here. There should be a picture, right? Surely there's a picture where someone shows the health bar, right? Yeah, see here, this one. You can see that there's the health bar, and he says strong, strong. Does not say the literal nothing that the game tells you. They don't actually even give you an example. They don't even give you an example for. They don't even tell you about not having strong will. That's how bad of information they give you. Meanwhile, meanwhile, see their health. You do not. You do not see the emotion stats. Those do not show up in any way, shape, or form other than what emotion they are currently at. So I have no idea if there's a maximum or a minimum to each emotion. I have no idea what that maximum or minimum would even be because there is no way of seeing it. Can't even see if their maximum or minimum is hit. Like you just use the move, it does a little effect, and it does not tell you if it's actually going up or down. You could just be spamming a move, but they're actually already max tension. It just it's very confusing. It makes no sense. And as this big block of text says over here, I'm unsure how the game prioritizes each emotion, and it seems like the emotions can still have an effect. The Digimon is said to be another. Example can be sadness, but the other three emotions can add in attacks, even sympathy. Because, like I mentioned, there's still two others I haven't mentioned. There's sympathy and anger. So, sympathy. When you're looking at sympathy and or sorry, when you're being told about sympathy for the optional text box, by the way, like I need to point this out. To get this information, you have to go out of your way to talk to the person via like text menus and whatnot at the HQ. Because the HQ isn't like an area you walk around, it's just text boxes, like the character pictures for when they're talking and stuff. It's just a menu. You have to go specifically out of your way to be given this information. The game tutorial does not tell you any of it. Which I mean is nice because that makes the tutorial shorter, but at the same time, this is important information because it affects what options you have here. Like if this man didn't have strong will, all of this red would look like this. Minus the Digi Soul Charge. That's how you will evolve. You need to do specific things. Like you see each of the dots on this constellation, there's certain requirements that you need to have met to evolve. And that's how you get that. So otherwise, it would just be run away. Every option would just be run away. So it is an integral part of the game. And all they tell you is caring thinks of its friends, selfish thinks only of itself. So from my experimenting, sympathy. I mean, this one's kind of self-explanatory, even with their descriptions, where it's like they have more sympathy. They might want to buff others or heal others, like do stat buffs and healing that can affect others and or themselves or along with themselves. And then selfish is more like the stat buffs that only apply to them. Like you don't get to apply it to another uh Digimon. Question mark. I think there is no concrete way of knowing this. Like how tension also seemed like it gives you more guard, more the yellow move. But I'm unsure. Sympathy is also somehow related to that. So you have two emotions affecting the same thing. I just wanted to check how long I've been ranting about this. It's not even a ramble; it's a rant. Um, but then at the same time, not having tension seems to just make it so you have less moves in general. Like just in general, like how this is right now. You see how it's like there's very few options, but then we go up here Sunflowmon, look how it goes off the screen. Like they have so many options that it doesn't fit on screen, which also, mind you, is a problem. There is a problem with the fact that it goes off of the screen because, and I know I'm getting sidetracked again, there is a issue that I have not figured out yet, where there's a friendship mechanic also, by the way. On top of emotions, there's also a friendship mechanic. So, some of the requirements for very specific uh, Digi-evolutions requires you to be friends with the Digimon, or to absolutely be hated by the Digimon. Depends on the evolution. Once you unlock it, by the way, like once you've done all the requirements and hit Digisoul charge, Digivolve into that evolution, you don't need to meet the requirements anymore. So if it's like something like a friendship one, you can stop being friends with them, and you can still go back to that at any time, as long as you have already unlocked, like Digivolve to them once. That's why some of them will be friends and some of them hated. Uh, One of the things that I gathered from trying to look up stuff about this game involves the moves and the quantity of them, such as, more specifically, using moves that your Digimon wants to use might make them actually like you more. I don't know how you raise or lower friendship, right? Like, you can't physically like attack your Digimon. No, there's no illegal crime going on here with domestic abuse on your Digimon. So, I also don't know how to decrease friendship because of that. But to raise friendship, supposedly you use moves that they want to use. Issue. Could you please tell me right now, which move do they want to use? Keep in mind that not all of them are on screen. S- Some of them are still appearing, like that's why they're faded right now, because they have, this screenshot was when they were still appearing on the screen. So, some of these are going off the screen, where you can't them. Some of them you can't read. Like, you can read parts of them, and you might be able to figure it out off of that, but please, by all means, try to count each individual one of these, and tell me which one do you wanna use. You can hit the action button, like, just hitting action will just use a move, like, it'll just pick a move for you. However, I'm pretty sure it just picks one at random. So there's another mechanic of the game that, for the record, they do not tell you about. Other than the requirement saying that you need friendship or like to be friends with them, like close friends, or to be hated by them, no mention of it ever. So there's no visual to tell you if you're even close to becoming friends or hated by them. Like, there is no frame of reference. So you also can't tell what is increasing and what is decreasing it, if at all. And then there's the emotion that this all makes me feel, anger, where you're told that they can be angry or they can be sad, which actually does, for once, like, or which actually, just like sympathy, actually lines up with what the emotion would say, where it would say that they have anger or that they have sadness. From what I could attack, anger also just makes it so you have more actions, like attack action, rather than uh, anything else, just like courage slash strong will. And sadness means that they want to escape, they don't want to attack, but they might want to use guards. Kind of confusing. And actually, there was one time where I got the Digimon to literally have nothing. Not like they actually they still had moves, but like they didn't have an emotion. there was no emotion. Like, where it says strong for Agumon here, nothing. It was just blank. It was just flat out blank. Why was it blank? How did I make it blank? Apparently, I combined every negative stat, but I couldn't replicate it. I couldn't replicate it. It just stayed blank. Like, eventually I got them to have emotion again, but it's just like, not only is there not very well explained emotions, but there's also a way to make them just have no emotion. Which also, who knows what that even does? Not me. Meanwhile, and I also just put the stats, like luck is luck, duh. There's attack damage, for strength, intelligence is also attack damage, intelligent moves, but it's also their intelligent move defense. It's doubled. I am very thankful, though, by the way, that they actually do tell you what each of the stats do. So many RPGs don't. So you have stuff like dexterity, wisdom, intelligence, and depending on the game, they can all do similar things. Like dexterity here is dodging, right? But sometimes wisdom is your magic damage. Sometimes wisdom is your magic defense. Sometimes intelligence is your magic damage. Sometimes intelligence is your magic defense. Sometimes I think I've even seen a game where dexterity includes magic defense or something of that variety. Like a third thing involves that, and it's just like, or maybe not dexterity, like rest, something that starts with an R. I can't think of it right now off the top of my head, but resolve or something. I don't know. And it's just like too many things are swapped around with each other for like magic stats. And the games never tell you. They never tell you which one they do, so you don't know if you're just upgrading something that completely has no meaning whatsoever. But anyways, yeah, then do defense for physical defense, dexterity for dodging, agility for turn order, and amount of turns. Because you can actually get a second turn before like an enemy attacks, or before another one of your Digimon attack. Which it's parties of three, by the way. The enemy Digimon can have more than three fighting you, but you yourself are only up to three. And there's status effects. I haven't really done this, but like poison makes you take damage before your turn. Uh, it lasts a while, I guess. So I haven't seen it enough. Like I haven't seen status effects enough to really know what they do very well. But then sleep just makes it so you can't act for 2 or 3 turns. There's surprise attack, which is like I I don't know. I think that's one of the things that can happen when you get into a battle. Like sometimes it's like, oh, it's a surprise attack, or it's a back attack. But then back attack is enemies attack first. I don't know the difference between surprise attack and back attack. And there's the items themselves, which just for again, because I just wanted to gather as much information on this game as I possibly could, I just started putting down like what the items do. Like if you sell an intelligence chip, uh, I don't know how much it would increase your intelligence by, but it would sell for $1. Um, you know, here's like the healing items or like the stats recovery items. Also got like the various miscellaneous items. Like you can increase your strength or like your stats for a certain amount of turns or whatnot. Question marks because I haven't really used them to figure it out or anything like that. You could change what typing your Digimon is with some items. You can get items that increase or decrease your stat, or like your emotion stat. Again, you can't see how much you're even at to begin with. So you're just being given an arbitrary number. Like you are just given an arbitrary number that means nothing. You don't know what it's out of. You could have 1 out of 2, and that 1 means a lot, but you don't know that. Because for all you know, it could be 1 out of a million. And so increasing your stat by 1 means nothing, because 1 out of a million isn't much of a difference, unlike 1 out of 2. So 10 sympathy, what does that mean? You know? Doesn't doesn't give me any idea of what it's doing. And then there's turn your emotion inside out, which means it goes from like negative to positive, positive, negative. Like if you're tense, you'll go to slowly. If you're slowly, you become tense. Or you can swap the stat number of your emotions. So like let's say tension's at 40 and anger's at -10, because you can go into the negatives. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. How would I know? Uh, Now your tension's at -10 and your anger's at 40. Again, can't see the number, so how are you supposed to know if that's even a good idea to swap your tension and anger? Uh, I don't know. I guess keep track of it on a pen and paper. Anytime you get hit by a move that might change them, you gotta make sure to mark that down and just like sit there and keep crossing it out and writing a new number and crossing that out, writing a new number like every turn or something. Just to keep track of what your emotion numbers are at. So you know if this even does anything to you. So for all you know, your tension and anger might be the exact same number. Then there's an escape item, and then there's the search weakness, which is it literally just tells you what they're weak to. So that way you get an idea of what typing they are. So, going back to here, their field type, or their field, which is their way of saying types, it's only the one-way street, you know? Like NSL and VB go against each other, DR and SP go against each other, JT, ME, and then DS and or WG. It's like, so if you know which one they're weak to, you know exactly what typing they are. Then, then I also went through, as I was getting the characters unlocked, I would go through their whole constellation screen and mark down the highest amount of each thing that they needed. Like for example, like once Marcus, which is the guy with Agumon by default, Uh, once he gets to level 45, then I know I don't need to level him up any higher than that. Uh, Once I have defeated 40 ME enemies, or like Digimon, now I know I should start defeating MEs with other characters. So that way they can start getting progress to those constellations. There's also some constellations that want you to have a specific item. He said items come from an NPC in the forest that as you defeat more Digimon. Doesn't matter what Digimon, or if you've defeated them before. It doesn't have to be unique ones. It's just defeat them in general. Once you hit certain milestones for amount defeated, get rewards, such as like these two, or you might just find them somewhere. Like Mirage Chest was just a location. Like Mirage is the location, and it's just a chest in that location somewhere. So yeah. Um, Spoiler alert, by the way, for anyone. I mean, if you're looking at this, I've already shown you pictures that are spoilers. You do get more characters. So, I got to the. Like, I'm not that far after you unlock Crier. which once you get 3 pretty early. That's fine because you get teams of like, you can have a team of 3. But then once you get more, it makes it very complicated when they do this they still get experience, by the way, where you're not using them, but, they're not getting any of this credit. Like, they're not defeating rookies, champions, ultimate. Oh, by the way, there's, like, rookie, champion, ultimate, mega. It's like, I have it somewhere, don't I? Ah, dang, I don't. What do I have, like, a 3rd one that I just haven't set? Untitled one. Nope, that was from watching a video. I don't know then. But, uh oh, no, here we go. So, that's just the rank. Like, rookie is the lowest, then it's champion, then it's ultimate, then it's the other one being said, mega. Like, example being, like, Agumon's a rookie, then, like or Gabumon's a rookie, and then Garurumon's a champion. A lot of the bosses like to be, like, ultimates or megas, that deal. I need to stop doing that. Uh, so yeah, like, this is nice information, like, this is all concrete things, like, you can just look at the constellations ahead of time. Sometimes they're question mark, question mark, question mark, but that's, like, generally speaking, like, you have to get to a certain point in the story, and then that's what the question mark means. Like, example, Thomas, like, one of his evolutions has question mark, question mark, question mark. It's literally just get to a certain point in the story. I did it again. It's on the bottom of the screen. Moves. I made this. This is the markdown what each of the moves do. Never got around to it. Hell. Maps. I have been taking maps off of just Google searches, and as you see here, copyright Test of Valor, 2019. Wonder of that. Some of these I have cropped. That's why I like this one, the Sonata Forest. Or sorry, Sinato, but whatever. Forest. Like, you don't see it in the top left. It's because I cropped it so it fits better here. But they're nice maps. They tell you like where the chests and stuff are, what's in the chests. Like this is the information that I wish everything had. What it does. So yeah, so here's maps and stuff. I could have sworn that I was on the location after this, but I guess not. There's that. And then I'm marking down like what Digimon show up in each location. Also, aside from like the appearance rate of them. So I've done that too. So that way there's a nice like list of this is what the rank of that Digimon is, what the typing is for that Digimon. So if let's say you needed to fight uh champions, right? Or you needed to fight specifically like JT, Jungle Troopers, I think is what that said earlier. Now you know you can go find like like the champions or whatnot, or like JTs. Then on top of that, I was even also marking drop rates of items. I didn't start with this. Disclaimer, disclaimer. I don't think I did this from the beginning. I think I started doing this from the revisit of Walter Island. like when I went back there just to get like drop raids after going through the forest. And then as you can see, excuse me, I completely gave up on it because or when I went to Rage Cavern because I discovered that the enemies change depending on where you are in the story. So I figured I will just not bother until I get to the end of the game and then I'll go through it and then I can show you the drop rates of items from the enemies or like and then I can get information from or like of how often they drop items and what kind of items they drop because then I'll have all of them. Because unlike the appearance rate, this information does not change as you progress through the game. Sure, technically, it would be somewhat different because you won't find that Digimon as often, but that's not what I'm doing. That is not what I'm tracking on this screen. This screen, I am tracking. Also, I did it just because it was really annoying having to go to this, go to here, put in the information here, put in the information here. Um, put in the information here, I guess. Because I had to put in the information both here, and also here. I had to do both of that. Oh, and here we go. I knew I did more with the maps. Yeah, I did. Oh, I forgot that. Oh no, that's just the forest. Why is just the forest here? Why do I have just the forest? Is I don't know. Like last year, me. I don't know what I was doing. It, I've never done anything like this before. Yeah, I've had like just having to swap between each of these things. Like just put in information every single fight like 300 plus times for just one location or even just like one screen. Because there anywhere that just in the world? Yeah, like this. See this? This hallway, you can find enemies. You go through this door, it's a loading screen, a very fast loading screen, to another room. Say you're in like the forest, right? Let me go back to the map here real quick to show you. Say you're in the forest, right? So you first area. So first area goes from like this bottom bit here, this big circle part, this oval part on the right here, not the boss area, but like here, connected to the beginning area. That's where the NPC that gives you some items and stuff for defeating Digimon, and also is your stat tracker, like just to be like, hey, here's how many you've defeated total. Here's how many steps you've taken. This is the only way that you can find out how many chests you have opened and how many steps you have taken. When some Digimon require you to know this information, have to come here and talk to them. Anyways, uh, going to like this part in the top right, that's a loading screen. Also, like that's a separate area. You might find different enemy or Digimon in that area. Like the beginning area, for example, I didn't really find Leomons on the revisit to the forest because Leomon didn't show up until I revisited the forest later after beating the forest boss. Um, but in the top right area, like this whole section, I would find Leomons. So there's that too. It changed. That's also one reason why it's very easy to procrastinate on getting this information because not only is it different as you progress through the game, also somewhat different where you find them. But I decided not to worry about that and to instead just get the information for general spawning. I think I did sometimes find Leomons down here, but I'm not sure. I don't really. It's like it's weird information to track. Not consistent. at all. I also had to just sit there running in a circle for like hours, constantly just putting in this information, doing the fights and stuff, because I still have to do the fights. As I can't really speed it up much because my computer can't handle it. So at best, I'm getting like 2 times speed. So it takes forever to get through the fights, the animations, the here's what you got for experience and stuff, of which I do need that information because I am putting that down, as seen here, with kinda inconsistency. Like, I've take uh, the way that I was doing it, because again, they spawn in groups, right? So as they spawn in group, get different information from it. Because that means sometimes, like you say, you fight one Impmon, you get 25 bits, which is the currency, and 7.5 XP. But then you fight two Impmons, get 50 bits, that checks out. But you get 15 XP. So if you fought the one by itself, it would probably tell you 8 because it's rounding up. But then you go fight two, and now it's only 15. That's not what 8 times 2 is. You just have to infer that it's 7.5. However, there's then the issue. There's then the issue of like there's Demi-Devimon plus Impmon. Now you have to try to figure out how much experience does Demi-Devimon give, and how much experience does Impmon give. I think I was tracking that at some point. I could have sworn I was tracking their individual amounts. I guess I probably gave up on that, huh? Maybe I just didn't. I thought I did. I could have sworn I did. Guess not. Meanwhile, yeah, I see. As you can see, putting I was putting down the enemies and stuff as I went. That way I didn't have to do it later. It just kind of like something you had to math the line. I don't mind doing math. I like math. But then, as you can see, I didn't start doing this until the revisit of the forest. I didn't find these two combinations. Or sorry, these 3 combinations. They just didn't show up. They just didn't show up. Which lines up with this information here, too. With the revisit to the forest, with the 50 checks that I did, they didn't show up. Also, I guess that means Leomon did show up for the first visit. Or no, did he not? No, no, there he is. He just didn't show up for the first 50 samples, which was probably done on a different screen. Oh, never mind. All testing done around Salomon. And then, yeah, as I just noticed here, at some point I did start just using save states. Because it's RNG, regardless. Random chance. And then some of the times I would just come back. And then in this case, I made a save state where I was and then continued from there. So who knows, maybe some of the things that I was doing also influenced the information. I'm not like perfect info gatherer. But yeah, so this is stuff. As for the items, this is also very annoying math to do because um just like with the XP and the bits, I have to try to figure out from combinations, right? Who gets this? Who what are they giving? Like over here you can see that I was trying to figure it out per Digimon for Walter Island. Like I was like, oh, Automon or Automon uh specifically gives like or gave me nothing 3 times. They gave me HP charges 15 times, and they gave me cape like the next level of HP charges, which is just a healing item. Uh, 6 times. Rather than doing what I ended up doing for the forest, where or later for the combine or combinations drop table here, where it's like I could just be like, oh, I found this combination, it gave me these items about amount of times. Which, yeah, that makes sense. Like I found two Patamon, or I found double Patamon 6 times. So I got these things, and or like this is the conclusion that I got for what they give. Fair enough. And obviously, it doesn't add up to 100% because each individual item, or potentially even nothing, has its own individual chance, of which there should be a note on one of these. That's about, should be here. Yeah, nothing is counted once per fight, regardless of how many Digimon there are in the fight. What's the note here? This is specifically the amount defeated without other Digimon in the fight, as I cannot know if it was the other one that gave the item or not. Wait, what? I think, sorry, I think I just copy or pasted it, so this note doesn't apply to this bit. This note applies to the single. So yeah, it's just hard to figure out drop rates. Also, because nothing, the only time that I know that they gave nothing is if they were by themselves. Or they were just with another one of themselves. Like, say it was two Airdramons together. Which is actually a combination, by the way. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure two Airdramon does actually exist. Yeah, two Airdramon. But that's the only way I would be able to know that they actually gave nothing. However, alright, so that's the only time that I can mark nothing. That statistic is already going to be inaccurate. Meanwhile, as for the items, if let's say they are with one Gabumon, one Patamon, how do I know if Gabumon gave the VB enchant or if it was Patamon? Obviously, knowing what I know, it was Patamon. Patamon is a VB Digimon. Gabumon is an NSP. So it would make no sense for Gabumon to give me VB enchant. But without that knowledge, how would you know? Because they're both there. Defeated both of them. How would you know that it wasn't Gabumon who gave that? Without having a, unless you get like an example like this one where there is a actual fight with one Gabumon who never gave me VB enchant, which means then you can infer that Patamon is the one that gives chance. So if I see VB enchant, that means I know that I can mark it as Patamon giving that. Specifically for the individual drop rates. Try to figure out like if you see this Digimon have these chances, this item kind of deal. That way, if you're trying to like find items, like grind out certain items, you can be like, oh, I'm looking for impulse drinks, right? What was impulse? I have that impulse drink. Swap tension anger. Yeah, say you want that, right? Say you're trying to find an impulse drink. Now you know that if you see a Garurumon, Leomon, Almon, etc., you know you can just run away from the fight. It's not going to give you one. But if you see a Gabumon, like if you find, you know, the one Gabumon by themselves, or you find Gabumon plus Patamon, or Gabumon plus Garurumon. Now you know you can actually commit to that fight, and you might get an Impulse Drink. Which, from my experience, only dropped about 16.67% of the time. Same with HP charges. Like, half the time they just gave me nothing. You know? It's like, it's, it's a lot of, like, having to do inferences, like, inferring things to come up with hopefully accurate information that's at least good enough. Because there is none of this that exists, and I want it to. Like, I want it to exist. And then meanwhile, I didn't think about it in time for Salomon rewards. So, pretty sure I did miss some of them. Unless I looked it up. I don't know. This is probably something that actually does exist. Like, for looking it up. But it's here anyways. And then if you've noticed on, like, the maps, like some of the maps, it's mentioned a guy called Shima. So I also put that in here. Because they do show up on some of the maps. Uh, and they do give you a reward. I don't know why I have this blank. Anyways, I also misspelled the word already. And then I thought about this too late, so that's why it's just question marks for that. Then there's this information. Like, that's fine. That's all concrete stuff that I can figure out. This is just my own personal checklist. So after every single fight, by the way, not only was I putting in the information to here, putting in the information to here and here, putting in the information to this, into this, but I'm also, and anytime, I find a new combination, I then have to put it, like, go ahead and add it, copy paste all the, like, the formulas and stuff to, like, make sure it works, edit this to make sure it works, all that jazz. Which, pretty sure at some point I found out you can, like, yeah, you can use, like, dollar signs to make it so, like, to help lock it into place, like, what it's copying. Like, this is, how does that work? Yeah, so this is just that still. Like I said, I was relearning how to do things on Google Sheets. Last time I learned how to do things on Google Sheets was in middle school, 8th grade specifically. But then I also had to put in all the information into here. To just keep track of things. Just because the game does not give you this information. Like, I have to sit here and be like, okay, I have this many steps done. Out of this many, I got, of which you have to talk to Salmon again. Learn, like, this information. Does not tell you if you've spent, or otherwise you won't know how much you've spent, how much you've, like, earned, how many chests you've opened, how many steps you've taken. You get to go back to the forest specifically, walk over to Salamon, which you can still get hit by random encounters on the way there, and then talk to them, go through all the information. You can't just pick a certain one. It's not just like a list that it shows you. It is, you have to go through all the text boxes of it telling you every single bit of information that it tells you just to learn that you took 5,598 steps out of 8,000 needed for Marcus. And then even then, you still don't get told your friendship. Uh, Yoshino Walamon needs 3 times big friends and 1 time to be hated. That's annoying. Also note that there's very good and good. So there are levels to the friendship that you can't see. The stats, I mean, you can see the stats. That's fine. Uh, how many guards, attacks, escape supports have you done? Also, don't get that information unless you talk to Salamon in the forest. The highest hit you've done. Also, much damage you dealt total, how much damage you've taken total. Also Salamon. Same with also how many you've defeated of each type is also Salamon information. Like pretty much most of this information you have to go to the forest and talk to Salamon about. And it's per character. So because you can't just generalize all of this because they aren't shared. They are individual stat numbers. Or like they are things being kept track of individually. Like Agumon, like JT defeats are different than Lalamon's. It or Galmon, or I forget what Crier's Digimon is called. And as you can see, it's like I have not touched uh like like I've not done anything for Crier whatsoever because I figured I'm going to finish doing these ones, like the feet certain typing ones first. For the original, like the first 3 people that you get, I'm going to get that done, then I'll move to Crier. Start like doing that. Or because you get enough people to have a second full team, just wait till then and start just doing it then. I haven't really decided. It that's always just even casually playing the game, that's always something that I struggle with. Although I like Crier, so usually I don't have that problem for him. So yeah, this is just my annoying checklist that I need, just so I don't have to keep going back to the forest to get this information. As you can see, DR Digimon are not very common at the start of the game. Not in the slightest. I mean, heck, what is it? Where's that? One location. Like, there's no DR here, no DR here, no DR here, no DR here. First time you find DR Digimon, there is a lot of them in the location. But this is the first time you find any. So, anyways, yeah, that was my rant. My how long? Over an hour rant about Digimon Data Squad. How I very much so need somebody to help me with this information. Like somebody, like to just reach out, like you want to like reach out, be like, hey, could you like share me this spreadsheet so that I can also see this information? I don't know, figure out something with it. That'd be cool. That would be nice. I think I'm gonna. Yeah, this was originally gonna be part of me just rambling about 5 years on YouTube, but I think this is gonna have to be its own video now. This this is like an hour. This is so much. Like it took me an hour to rant about all this information that I have to track myself because the game doesn't. Because the game does not tell you it. Like that is the part that I hate the most. It's like it's frustrating that there is no information on the internet. Like this game is not cared about enough or and also because uh, PlayStation 2 games are hard to reverse engineer to get information from to begin with, from what I could tell. I tried looking up how you would do it, and when I was went found a website that had tools for doing that kind of stuff for games, it specifically mentioned that PlayStation 2 is not easy to do it with. So that doesn't help either. But it pisses me off the most that the game itself just tells you garbo, just complete garbo of attack forcefully, don't let it lose control. Or for anger, it literally just says if your Digimon is sad, don't let your beat or don't let your Digimon be sad that much. What does that mean? Like that is mechanically in the game unhelpful. Like that has no information about how it actually functions in a fight. Like the sad emotion functions in a fight. Like they could at least be like if your Digimon is sad, uh they won't want to like be in a fight. I don't know. Like they won't want to do much or something because they have depression. Like it's so much better than just don't let them be sad or distracted and can't attack effectively. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean it has less moves. Does distracted and can't attack effectively technically apply to that? Yeah. The distracted part, what does the can't attack effectively part mean? Do they actually do less damage? I don't think they do. But it kind of implies that that's the case. It implies that they would maybe like miss more often, but I don't think it affects like their actual stats. But how would you know? Game won't tell you. It doesn't even tell you about stats effects, by the way. It's it's that's why there's so many question marks here. I just have to examine with my own eyeballs mid fight with other variables happening and affecting what the status effect does and potentially ending the fight before I see its full duration because the game doesn't tell you. I mean, they're relatively self-explanatory, the ones I have seen, but would still just be nice if the game told you. Like this RPG with fundamentals that are left out of any tutorial. Like actual fundamentals about the game, which just makes it artificially more difficult because you just don't have that information that only the game could tell you. It's just so frustrating. I like playing the game, but it's so frustrating. On top of, the random encounters thing. Because so many times, you could just be playing the game and now I try to end off this rant, but I've now put myself in a whole second part of a tangent. See, look at this. Only run. This is only runs. Thank you, King Shah, for showing off the fact that this dude only wants to run. And looking at this, look at their or their emotions. Strong, strong, caring. Only wants to run away. This is why in this spreadsheet, in this Google Sheets, it is my best guess. This is why there's this big block of text saying that I don't understand how the emotions affect each other. Because note that from my experience, if they are strong, they pretty much only have attacks. If they are caring, they'll have guards. Like they want to use guard moves. Even if they're not carrying, they'll still want to use guard moves. The only thing that like decreases the amount of attacks is like if they're sad or if they're slow. But then slowness doesn't make them want to escape, and courage slash strong will generally makes them not want to escape also. So why is it that this carrying Digimon wants to escape? Or strong? I can't tell which one. I can't see the pictures, so I can't tell if they're the carrying or the strong. But either way, why do they only want to escape? This, like, it makes no sense to me. Like, because you can't see what their emotion stats are. So it would make sense if you could, because then maybe, for example, let's say they're carrying, and they might have some strong will, but maybe their tension is really low, and that's why there's barely any options. And then their anger is really low, so they're actually sad. But because it's just saying, but they're caring, like their sympathy is higher, so it just shows you that they're caring, or their strong will is higher, so it just shows you that they're strong willed, even though they actually, because of the other emotions, aren't. Because having only warp here goes against what it's saying they are, because the other hidden emotions, the other stat numbers that are completely hidden from view and are not accessible by any means at all, are actually affecting them more than the one that it says should be affecting them. So then, make matters worse, it's like you could just be like, oh, okay, just make them more tense. But do you need to make them more tense, or do you need to make them angry? Do you just need to increase their strong will? Maybe it says that they're strong, but they're not actually that strong. Because let's say they're the one that's carrying. This could mean that they're not strong willed. This could mean that they're not tense. This could mean that they're not angry. That is three different stats that you now have to pick one of them and hope that this is the one that you need to increase to make it so that they stop wanting to run away while in the middle of a fight. And this can happen in the middle of a boss fight. You know, a boss that, if you say it's a strong boss that like 2, 3 shots you, you are now spending multiple turns having to figure out which stat you need to raise and by how much. You don't know how much you need to increase it either, because you're just given arbitrary numbers that mean nothing. Like, you can increase it by 10, you can increase it by 20, you can increase it by 40 if you have the item or something. By the way, the support commands, for the record, like if you hit the support option, it brings up a whole new list of moves that never change. They are not affected by emotions at all. They are affected by the Digimon Tamer. So each different tamer has different moves. So, let's say Marcus has moves that will increase or decrease strong will. Meanwhile, Thomas doesn't. I'm giving an example, but I'm not actually sure if Marcus can decrease strong will, but he can at least increase it. I don't think Thomas does. Thomas has one that increases tension, and would think that maybe you can hit Marcus to increase the strong will of Thomas's Digimon. No. You can use items on other people's Digimon. You cannot use any of the like non-item related support commands on anything other than your Digimon. Un- Unless it like affects like an enemy. I think sometimes they might affect an enemy. I don't know. But they only affect your Digimon. So Marcus doesn't have, let's say, like a sympathy support command, can't raise Agumon's sympathy or decrease his sympathy unless with an item. Thomas, in this example, doesn't have strong will commands. or like support options. So if his Digimon, Gaomon, is actually like is what is it called? Weak, he can increase that without items. So now you're back in this situation where you now have three different stats that could all be the potential culprit for which one you need to increase to make it so your Digimon wants to do anything in this fight that you can't actually escape from because it's a boss fight, so wanting to warp does nothing. It would just fail every time. Now, you also have to figure out uh which moves to use. Because again, some of them increase it by 10, 20, 40. They might swap it, like reverse the effect if you have that or if you have the item. And now you also have to figure out like and now it's like if you don't have the items and it's one of the it's that stat you need, well you're just out of luck. But generally speaking, you should probably have the items. I mean, they give you them and stuff. That you probably would have at least one, unless you've been using them. But hypotheticals. Worst case scenario hypotheticals. Best case scenario is you pick the right one, and now all of a sudden your Digimon goes from wanting to only warp with barely any options, and because you change one stat to be slightly higher, let's say you did a plus 20 to like strong will, now they only have 3 warps, a bunch of guard, a bunch of attacks, and it's like, what? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't follow the consistency of what the heck I was looking at. Because sometimes increasing strong will might actually give you more guard commands rather than attack commands. Sometimes tension actually gives you attack commands or actions. Sometimes sympathy doesn't give you anything. Sometimes, actually, a lot of times, and like tension increases guard. Then it's like, how does that work with sympathy? Like, it's just so painful to figure out. And it would all be remedied, or most of these problems would be fixed if you could just see more than one emotion at a time, and I don't even know how it picks which one to show. This is also why I think that the stats go into the negatives, because you can have a Digimon show a negative status, like sad, like sadness, but then you might have like high tension or something, like, so like once you make them not sad, they'll be tense. A lot of times, actually, the Digimon like to get stuck in a certain emotion for, like, ever. Like, Gaomon, if I turn him into like, a lot of times, Gaomon and his various other Digimon that he could turn into this game, uh, a lot of times they will be stuck tense. Like, I will try my darndest to stop him from being tense. I will decrease his tension by, like, hundreds. And he will still say that he is tense. And it's just like, how does this mechanic work? How am I sitting here spending like 7 turns because I'm trying to like grind uh like requirements for a different Digimon? Like I might need to use like guard commands like 20 times, so I'm just spamming that against a weak Digimon so they can't kill us and I can just keep spamming guard. With the one that needs to spam guard, so I just use support commands for the other ones. How am I sitting here just spending like 7 turns decreasing your tension and you're still tense? Like I could spend 7 turns decreasing their tension and then with like let's say it's Lalamon who's using the guard commands. She's doing that and Marcus is using strong will items, like the item on Galmon, and he will still be tense. He won't be strong. He won't be weak. He won't be angry. He won't be caring. He will be tense. Like, by all intents and purposes, he should be in the negatives with a strong will going like skyrocketing off the charts. Game doesn't care. Like, it is almost non functional and it's like completely asinine to try to figure out how the emotion mechanic even functions, if at all. If it even actually functions the way it's supposed to. But I have tried to figure it out, but without like seeing the code to understand how it was programmed to function, I don't think there is a I don't think there is any way to figure out how it actually works. Like I just genuinely don't think there even is a way to figure out how this works just by examining because it gives you so little info even when it's affecting your characters actively because you have to take into account three other hidden like hidden stats that are affecting you at the exact same time that are, for the record, affected by other things happening. It's not like it's a static number that only goes up or down when you yourself use a move, or like when the game tells you like a move has an effect, like it swaps your courage or something, because some moves do that. Like you hit the Digimon or the Digimon hits you and it will swap theirs, or like whoever got hit will have their courage swapped or something. Uh, there are also times, like I'm pretty sure, like as your Digimon gets low health, it also changes the emotions. It might even change the friendship for all I know. Like being hurt more often might make you less like might make them hate you more for all I know. I don't know. These are hidden things that they don't tell you, and because of that, it also means that these numbers for the emotions that you don't see in the first place are now getting affected without telling you that it's being affected. So now you have a hidden number that you have to keep track of being affected by hidden effects you would have no idea are happening, and you are expected to somehow know this. Or else be put in a situation where your Digimon only wants to warp or run or whatever their flee command is. Or you get in a situation where instead of all this red to do damage, it is only yellow, or it's only red and it's Lalamon who's the one that has a heal command for guard. And you're like, no, Lalamon, I needed you to or Sunflowmon, you know? Like I needed you to heal somebody and here you are only wanting to attack with like Sunshine Gun or Smiley Slap. Smiley Slap, by the way, is one of the moves that actually changes statuses on an enemy. Of which, for the record, what does changing the status on an enemy do? This is an average Sunflowmon moment, by the way. This right here, very few attacks, lots of fleas, some guards. This is an average moment for Sunflowmon. She is very commonly in this state or worse. Like, oh, where was it? Where was it? Where was it? This one? This picture here? Also, still Sunflowmon, like another evolution. Uh, again, common situation for them to be in is where they just want to warp. I don't know why. It just is. It's just how they always want to do, and I hate it. It's so painful. But now I'm done ranting, I think. So here's your Infinity OBS screen as I'm going to end this recording and then figure out if I upload this footage of me just ranting on this game. Because again, I still like the game, but god dang, does sometimes playing it just feel like you have zero control of your own character whatsoever. Bye-bye. Please, somebody get help. And whether it be you yourself or you know somebody that you can get into contact with to help with this information gathering. Please, I beg, I'm begging here. I'm begging. This I'm begging is technically actually for be I'm begging myself to ask for help. But I'm begging you now. Or at the very least, if you know someone who can get GBA game code, like and read that stuff, tell me how to unlock the costumes for Tom and Jerry Tales. That's not as devastating as this Digimon thing, but it is something that has plagued my mind for very many years. I have played that game since I was in like elementary school. I am 24. I like it has been on my mind for so many years. Never have learned it. Same with this Digimon game. I've also played this Digimon game since I was in like elementary school. And yeah, bye bye.